This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga L13. For those who follow ThinkPads, the L is the Soho or more affordable series. And sometimes they've been a little bit lacking, but Lenovo's really been on it lately, I have to say. And this version of the Yoga is really compelling. It's got the build quality of more expensive models with the magnesium alloy and the glass fiber casing. You've got the ThinkPad Pro pen in the Silo Garage going on, latest Intel 10th generation CPUs and more. And it starts at a slightly deceptive $677. I say deceptive because that's the Core i3 with 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gig NVMe SSD, the kind that your IT department buys when they're told their budget is really tight, right? But we have the more middle-of-the-road and desirable Core i5 model with 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig NVMe SSD, and that one's still $959, so that's $350 less than an equivalently spec'd ThinkPad X1 Yoga. We're going to look at it now. So it does the yoga thing, you know, the 360-degree beefy hinges here, and like I said, you get the Wacom AES-based ThinkPad Pen Pro included because it lives in a little silo. So it recharges when it's in the silo. That means you don't have to bother replacing batteries. But if you want Lenovo's full-size pen that they sell separately, that one still uses a quadruple A battery, but that's good for like 6 months to a year. Okay. Full HD display resolution is your only option here, but for a 13.3-inch laptop, I'm okay with it. That's not a shameful resolution. It is glossy, it's touch, as well as having pen support on board. At 310 nits is what we measured. Lenovo claims 300, so that's pretty good. And you can see the rest of the display metrics. The color accuracy, only the blues are too high on this. You could calibrate it if you care, but subjectively looking at it, it's a nice display, and the contrast ratio measures quite good on this. So again, for their most affordable, you know, ThinkPad, this is not bad in the Yoga series. It has an M.2 NVMe SSD. You can go anywhere from 128 gigs all the way up to a terabyte. You can upgrade it yourself if you want. RAM, you can't upgrade yourself. It's soldered on board. It is DDR4, 2666 megahertz, and they'll sell it to you with up to 16 gigs of RAM, 4, 8, or 16. Those are your options there. So if you want 32, you're going to have to start looking at their more expensive models. Likewise, if you want 4G LTE, they have the ThinkPad X1 Yoga for you and the ThinkPad T series and so on that offer that, but this is meant to be a budget-based model. The same thing with the display resolution. If you want to go higher with that, or if you want OLED and other fancy things, there are more high-end models that offer those features on board. It's available in our usual traditional ThinkPad Black, and also Lenovo listed as being available in silver. It has 2 USB-C Gen 1 ports and 2 USB-A ports, HDMI on board, your headphone jack, micro SD card slot, so that's not too bad. And no Thunderbolt 3, again, they have more expensive models if you want that. It's compatible with the USB-C docks of any kind, or Lenovo's if you want to get the Lenovo one, and also what they call their mechanical dock, the one that slides in and connects to the 2 ports on the side, one of which is that proprietary Ethernet dongle adapter, and the other is one of those USB-C ports. It does have a USB-C based charger as well, and that's a 65-watt fast charger. So it's a 46 watt-hour battery, and that's pretty good. If you move up to the X1 Yoga, it goes to 51 watt-hours, so, you know, we're talking within 5. Not much of a difference there. So that's pretty good too. I mean, they didn't skimp in that department. That's fine with me. And battery life on this is pretty good. I've been getting about 7.5 hours on a charge at 150 nits of brightness, mixed productivity, social media, Word, Excel, that sort of stuff, a little bit of Photoshop. So battery life on this is fine. It's not class leading, but it's perfectly acceptable. Obviously, if you were more careful with your power management settings, you could probably get more out of it. This has stereo speakers, and they're pretty bold sounding insofar as they're loud, and they sound reasonably full. You can tell they're not tinny at all, but you can tell that they're geared more towards voice, so probably video conferencing, watching movies, that sort of thing. If you want the extreme highs and the extreme lows, well, that's what headphones are for these days, not so much on laptops. In terms of performance, we have Intel 10th generation, and these are Comet Lake, not Ice Lake. There's 2 different kind of 10th gen CPUs in Ultrabooks, if you haven't been watching that space. So this is the quad core with the higher wattage. It's nominally 15 watt, but it can TDP up to 25 watts, get a little more performance. But compared to Ice Lake, which has the faster Intel Iris Plus graphics, this still has Intel UHD graphics. So if you're a more graphics-oriented person, what you're doing, you probably want Ice Lake. If you're more CPU-oriented, which usually for a business laptop probably would be the thing, then Comet Lake is fine. And Lenovo is reasonably aggressive, but not as aggressive as some of their other models, like the X1 Yoga, letting it go up above 15 watts to 25 watts and even higher when doing things like benchmarks or pushing it hard productivity. The speed on our Core i5 is okay. It's average for a Core i5 10th Gen Comet Lake. And for the target audience, which again is probably business users, this is perfectly fine. Your Word, your Excel, you can do Photoshop on this. And video editing wouldn't be my first choice, but in general, Ultrabooks never are my first choice. Mobile workstations, gaming laptops are better for that, but it's competent. It doesn't feel the fastest. The SSD on this benchmarks really well, but software installations seem to take longer, which is a little bit mystifying given the fact that the write speeds were perfectly acceptable, and ours happens to have a Toshiba SSD, in case you're curious about the brand. The keyboard, well, it's a ThinkPad, and it's great. I mean, nice bounce and key return and crispness of feel. In fact, I like it a little bit better than the X1 series, well, probably because this one doesn't have to be quite as skinny, so they get to give you a little bit more key travel. It's just delightful. And it has the usual white backlight that you'll enable by hitting FN and the spacebar, multi-stage white backlighting. It's a Microsoft Precision trackpad, and of course you have the usual buttons above the trackpad and the eraser stick pointer for those of you who like that traditional ThinkPad experience. A Windows Hello IR camera is optional on this. You get a 720p webcam, 720p webcam quality there. And you have the ThinkShutter, which is a mechanical shutter that slides over the webcam so you know nobody is spying on you. You can get this with Intel 9560 AC Wi-Fi, which is Wi-Fi 5, kind of last gen, or with the newer Wi-Fi 6 AX201 card. That comes with the vPro CPUs. This is available with and without vPro. So how about heat and noise? I mean, it's an Ultrabook. It can't get that bad, right, folks? The fan is pretty audible when it comes on. It's not one of the most quiet. It's not going to fill your room with noise, but I was a little surprised at that. But surface temperatures on ours was absolutely fine, even when doing benchmarks and pushing and doing more demanding tasks. Not bad. And core temperatures were a little bit better than average too. Again, when it doesn't have to be super skinny, it's amazing how much better cooling can be. So core temperatures in our benchmarks, at the worst, we saw like 86 centigrade or so. And usually we see 96 to 98 centigrade in our benchmark. So go Lenovo that. That's pretty good. All right. Underside right here, we got fan intakes. We have fan exhaust area over here. These are the speaker grills. The speakers are down firing. To take off the bottom cover, slide out the pin just to make sure that it's not actually going to get in the way of anything, and unscrew the captive Phillips head screws. They're all visible. They're all easy enough to do. And then I use a guitar pick to start prying up on the sides here, work off the back, and then pop it forward. Works pretty well. Underside looks like this. And here are our internals. Obviously the fan is right here, our CPU under the heatsink here, the socketed Wi-Fi card, and the M.2 SSD also socketed, so you can upgrade that if you wish. The RAM again is soldered on, so you won't be upgrading that, and like all laptops, the CPU is soldered on. And there's our 46 watt-hour battery and the speaker drivers that were living underneath the grill. So that's the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga L13, and for the price, honestly, it punches above its weight. I tried to find negatives, and other than the fact the fan is a little louder than usual, it's pretty hard to complain about what you're getting here for the price. Great for note takers, and fine for hobby artists, even that sort of thing. Everyday productivity stuff, a little bit of Photoshop. It does all that stuff fine, and it's got a durable build, the usual MIL STD, 10 tests for shock, vibration, dust, all that sort of thing too. I'm Lisa from MobileTechReview. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.